So I was looking on Twitter the other day, and this Twitter atheist I know, really nice girl actually. I chat with her, every now and again on Twitter. I really like her a lot. She tweeted something along the lines of 90% of everything Jordan Peterson says makes a lot of sense to me. And I retweeted it, and as you might imagine, it started a bit of a dust-up in terms of set the Twitterverse abuzz with all these different types of comments. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting to note, about 2 years ago, prior to Jordan Peterson becoming at least internet famous, which is what he is today, I'd call him internet famous. Not exactly a household name, but he's getting close to there. My wife, for example, has heard of him, which means he's starting to come up the food chain and almost like a well-known person. My wife has heard of Sam Harris, for example. She has no idea who Matt Dillahunty is, no idea who a lot of the people who float around on Twitter are. So he's internet famous. That's where he is about now. But prior to him becoming internet famous, I was actually watching his Bible series, and I was shopping it around to Twitter atheists, pimping it out to them, because I really thought that they'd like it. I really thought they'd get a lot out of his approach to the Bible. Now, why? Well, back then, and somewhat today too, Twitter atheists, often you catch them crying. Yeah, literally, let's be honest, crying about, how could these Christians think that the earth is 6,000 years old? There's no scientific evidence. Crying about it. So I figured, here comes this guy who was brought up in the university system, trained as a sociologist, trained as a psychologist. Those are scientific tools, mind you. Starts bringing a scientific, rational, analytical approach to the Bible. And I thought it was a particularly fruitful approach, and I thought Twitter atheists, specifically Twitter atheists, would really get a lot out of it, really relate to it. Lo and behold, I was correct. Not necessarily the local Twitter atheists that I interact with, because they've all begun to develop a passionate distrust and dislike of the man. But if you actually go on his website where the Bible series is, and you look at the Bible series, when I was shopping them around, they had something like 100,000 views. I was, showing to people I was debating on Twitter, like, you will really like this. You will get a lot out of this. And now they have north of 1 million views. And if you look at the actual comments on those videos, half of them are atheists. Honestly, half of them are atheists, and half of them are like, I really value your approach. They'll say things literally like that. So I was completely correct in my assessment that this is exactly what atheists say. At the time, it's what they said they want. Someone with the rational, analytical, realistic approach to the Bible, analyzing the content of the printed page, using the tools of reality, the reality that we can all experience as true and all agree is the reality. We don't all necessarily agree that the earth is 6,000 years old, okay? So that's a debate, and not a very fruitful one, not a very productive one as far as I'm concerned. And we don't all agree about the faith claims of Christianity, correct? If I say to, like, deconverted man, hallelujah, deconverted man, Jesus born of a virgin. He won't believe me. Yeah, that's great, Greg. I don't buy it. Okay. You see, conversation, zero-sum conversation usually goes nowhere. But if we're talking about analyzing the Bible in a Peterson-esque way, which is actually bringing sociological, psychological tools and analyzing the actual content of the printed page, examining the metaphorical truths, the symbolic truths, what is the Bible actually trying to convey, irrespective of its literal truth. So take something like the story of Adam and Eve. A really, really not productive conversation between a Christian and an atheist on the story of Adam and Eve is I say, like, Adam and Eve literally lived. There's two literal human beings. No, it's not. Blah, evidence, blah, blah, boring. Really not productive conversation. But his approach to, for example, to the story of Adam and Eve. I've listened to his analysis of the story of Adam and Eve, and I think there's a lot of value to it. He will, to paraphrase his particular spin on it, is there is a tree. The tree is very specifically it's not just a story of God said don't eat the tree. Adam and Eve now eat the tree. Now God's mad. I curse the earth. It's not really what's going on. There's a lot more to it than that. They eat the tree. What tree? Specifically, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, clearly implying some sort of moral decision-making process. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, not just any old random tree, and not just a random tree of knowledge. Tree of a specific kind of knowledge. What knowledge? Knowledge of good and evil. So to paraphrase, for example, his interpretation, he kind of says it's akin to moral awakening, the dawning of human consciousness. So this is just a quick paraphrasing, but for example, he'll say something like, if you go into the jungle and you see a lion eats a zebra. It is completely amoral. We do not put a lion on trial for murder for eating a zebra, correct? Why? Because it's amoral. The lion has no consciousness of its moral decision-making process. It's just chowing down. Now, technically speaking, it's kind of cruel. Is it not? I mean, cuts the zebra's throat, starts eating at its innards. It's really kind of cruel and, but there is no moral consciousness in the lion whatsoever. Kind of akin to the state of grace of Adam and Eve being in presence and walking and talking in the garden with God. They have no moral consciousness whatsoever. They do not understand their nakedness. They do not understand their condition. So he says the eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is kind of akin to the dawning of human consciousness, the dawning of self-consciousness, the dawning of moral awakening. It's a perfectly legitimate interpretation. Now, if you're an atheist, you might not think that interpretation is completely correct or all that. And a lot of people are starting to argue, well, it's really not that much different from Jung or Joseph Campbell. It's not supposed to be all that much different. He's popularizing a way of looking at stories like the Bible that, was started with people like Jung, Joseph Campbell, as I pointed out in my other videos. Joseph Campbell's actually pretty decent. Go watch Joseph Campbell's show on Netflix. It's pretty good. The Power of Myth. It's decent. It's decent. He gives a lot of insight, and he's actually really kind of brings a lot of expertise to the subject of comparative religion, just like Jordan Peterson does. No, it's not a revolutionary, groundbreaking approach. The only thing that's revolutionary is on YouTube, and he's popularizing this approach. And he's got north of 1 million views on the Bible. That's revolutionary. That aspect is revolutionary. Also, the other thing about Jordan Peterson is he's kind of put this in the context of traditional Christian apologetics. That's where I was interested, the Christian apologist. That's why I had discovered him. That's why I was shopping around in Twitter Atheists. I recognized his immediately his usefulness in the context of traditional Christian apologetics as a tool for traditional Christian apologetics. Why? For example, as I pointed out, if I'm going to have a conversation with Deconverted Man, I go, hallelujah, Deconverted Man. Jesus rose from the dead. Jesus born of a virgin, Deconverted Man. Hallelujah, praise God. What's he going to say to me? Logic, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to have a zero-sum conversation. It's true. No, it isn't. Some form of variation. Not very productive. But taking a Peterson-esque approach to the Bible, Deconverted Man, and any Twitter atheist you want, I can actually analyze the content of the printed page, and we can actually have a real conversation based on the reality of the text itself, what's actually written therein, and what the text is trying to convey. So you disagree a little with Peterson's interpretation that, it's the dawning of human consciousness. And you can have a different interpretation, but we're still having a real conversation. A real conversation, analyzing the text for the information it's actually trying to convey, not the typical zero-sum conversation of, I can't even tell you how unproductive some of these Twitter debates are. You've seen some of them. Go watch Ken Oven versus Aaron Ra. If you're not watching it, if you're not chowing down popcorn for a shit show, you're not really watching it as it is, because it's not a real conversation, it's not a real discussion. Now you take the Peterson-esque approach and you can change the whole nature of the conversation. So you're having a real conversation first off, and you're having a real conversation about real ideas, and you don't have to actually 100% agree with the faith claims in the Bible for us to have this conversation. Matter of fact, you don't have to believe the faith claims in the Bible at all for us to have this conversation. So I don't have to go, Deconverted Man, Jesus born of a virgin. Believe it, Deconverted Man. Feel him in your heart, Deconverted Man. He doesn't have to believe that for us to analyze the content of the Bibles in a Peterson-esque sort of way. That's why I thought it would be really valuable. And I really, honest to God, thought Twitter atheists would find this approach really useful, really fruitful, really productive. And honestly, you should. Because most of you say almost daily, you want to believe real things, you want to be rational in your analysis of things. Okay, take that approach to the Bible. That's the next step. That's the next best step. If you want to believe real things and you want to analyze things rationally, using tools of logic and reason, you can use that approach with the actual Bible itself. So we can have a real conversation about what's true in the content and what may or may not be true in the content. Where we're both on the same page, using the same approach, using the same tools. I completely and 100% see the value in that. And frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that it's even controversial. Why is it controversial? Some of that is on Peterson. Not all of it, but some. He hasn't just become famous for his approach from the Bible. Would that we lived in a world like that, but we don't. He has also become somewhat famous. Debatably, that's why he became famous. I don't know about that. But he's also become somewhat famous over the last year because of his political things that he's been involved with politically. Most importantly, probably this and that in Canada, some trans bill. I don't know. I don't know the details. I didn't really examine it too closely because that's not my agenda. It's not why I was interested in Jordan Peterson. It was really not. And then he's gotten involved in certain political dust-ups. And frankly, it doesn't really serve because it gets in the way. Because now his name is somewhat controversial. Now, not necessarily deservedly so. Some of that's on the anti-theists and the atheists. I think they jumped the gun and decided he was an enemy long before before any of that political stuff really hit the table. Because I think they recognized the value in his approach, and instead of, I don't know, maybe that's a little too much for this video. So, where am I going with all of this? In this particular video, I'm only trying to say one thing. When I first heard of Jordan Peterson, I immediately thought Twitter atheists will like this. They will like this approach. They will find it fruitful. They will immediately see the value in it. And I wasn't wrong. You get outside of our little Twitterverse and you go look at his videos and the comments on it. Half of them are atheists. Half of them say those exact words. Those exact words, some variation of, I really like your approach, I really appreciate this approach, this is bringing sociology and psychology to bear, this is an analytical way of reading the Bible, I am totally down with this. You will see some variation of that on every single Bible video he's posted. There'll be half of the people commenting are atheists and half of them are saying some variation of what I just said. And that's exactly why I thought he'd be fruitful in my conversations with Twitter atheists. So, there you have it, kids. Now, is he a little controversial because he's done a couple of things that are off topic as far as I'm concerned? Yeah. I don't think it's wise on his end because I don't think it serves his interests. May have helped made him more famous. But ultimately, those are transitory issues. Transitory, get it? No, all right, never mind. All right, fine, whatever. Those are transitory issues. The politics of today is not why I think he's important. It's not why I think he's valuable. It's not why I care about him. Why I cared about him was before the politics entered the picture. His approach to the Bible, I think it's really valuable. I think it's really useful for some of the reasons I said. I'm going to make videos on this in the future. It's an ongoing theme of mine. So, Twitter atheists, you should actually watch his Bible series and his Map of Meaning series. Twitter atheists, talking directly to you. You will like it. You will get something out of his approach. You won't agree with everything he says. You won't agree with his analysis of, some of his analysis are better than others. His arc is a little weak, to tell you the truth. Yeah, it's a little weak. It's I don't know, some sort of primal, mystical, I don't even know. I'm not even sure where he's going with that one. There's a primal, mystical flood metaphor to the flood, and I don't know. You will get something out of his approach to reading the Bible. It's actual dealing with the content of the printed page, analytically, sociologically, psychologically. It's what you said you wanted prior to Peterson's inception. It's what actual Twitter atheists said they wanted. Honestly, that's why I thought they'd like it. Because prior to him, when there wasn't anybody out there in Christian apologetics who was doing that, I heard them say it all the time. So, there you go. I think you, the Twitter atheists, should actually be interested in Jordan Peterson. Should watch his Bible series and look at his Maps of Meaning series And I think you'll get a lot out of it. And if you want to watch Joseph Campbell and Jung, go for it. I think you get a lot out of that too. You know, not a lot of knowledge of comparative religion in atheist communities. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I really did. Yeah, I really honestly did. That's why some of these myths that float around in the meme world, you think they're real. Because they're lacking basic knowledge of comparative religion. So, there you go, kids. That is all on the subject for now. Amen.